Okay. Yes. These are the vegetables. We did this yesterday. These are the vegetables. Yes. Okay. And sure, now we'll get back. We're back to worrying about chametz. Worrying about chametz is a very forbidden thing to eat chametz or even to own chametz on Passover. Okay, there's a lot of ways you can get yourself into this trouble of having chametz without knowing it. Did we do this? Yes, we did this yesterday. Yes, we did this also yesterday. Very good. Okay. And notnim kamach, you cannot put any grain or wheat or flour into the charosis or into the mustard. Okay, what's happening over there? It was a mitzvah on Passover. One of the main mitzvahs in Judaism was to eat the Pesach lamb or goat. You could eat one of the two. Big mitzvah. When the third Beit HaMikdash is built, we'll do it again. But until then, we don't have the commandment of eating the Paschal lamb anymore. We don't have the. But when they did have the Paschal lamb, now we do have charosis, what's called charoset, which is a mixture of nuts and whatever it is, and wine. We have a mixture over there that we put on the table just to remember that there was such a thing. But it used to be back then, they would use the charosis and they would dip the matzah, they would dip the Pesach offering with the bitter herbs. They would dip it into the charoset. Now we just dip the bitter herbs. So, but you can't put any dough, any flour into the charoset. That's what you usually do the whole year. They make it a spice. You dip your meat in there, or into the chardal, or into the mustard. And if you do that, then you must eat it immediately. And Rabbi Meir says that it's forbidden. Right, what is this argument here? What are they arguing about? Let's look and see. Ein notnim kemach, it is forbidden to put kemach, it is forbidden to put wheat, flour in the charosis or into the mustard. Right, what is this charosis? Charosis is a mixture of crushed up fruits, and that it's sort of they say a mixed up fruits, and it is made soft by means of putting vinegar and water. And why do they do this? Why do they make this charosis stuff? This is a dip. It's made to dip in it the meat. It used to be in the whole rest of the year, this was a custom they used to do. They used to mix also in it flour to give it a little bit of body. But on Passover, it's forbidden to put inside of a kemach. Why? Because the kemach will become chametz by means of the water you put in it. If it was just fruit juices, it wouldn't become chametz. And also, it's forbidden to put also flour into the mustard that also they would dip the meat in, which you're allowed to do, the Korban Pesach, for the same reason. But if you do put it in, then you have to eat it immediately. And the Gemara explains, what do you mean you have to eat it immediately? It says there's a difference between putting it into mustard and putting it into charoset. If you put it into mustard, so it says you can eat it immediately. You must eat it immediately because mustard is sharp, and the kemach, the flour that you put in it, won't become chametz. We're talking about on Passover. But if you put this flour into the charoset, well, charoset is not sharp at all. And therefore, there's nothing to impair the making this flour become into chametz. It'll come very quickly. Therefore, you cannot eat it. If you made a mistake of putting flour into your charoset, don't eat it immediately, for you got to get rid of it. No, it'll become chametz immediately. You have to burn it immediately, that the flour will speed up and become chametz in it. But Rabbi Meir forbids. Rabbi Meir says it's forbidden. Rabbi Meir says you can't even put this flour into the mustard. And if you do put the flour into the mustard, even if you do afilu even la'achlu miyad, you eat it immediately. According to Rab Meir, it should be usher. There's a word over here. He means the words usher. If you do put flour into the charoset, it's forbidden even to eat it immediately. That according to the opinion of Rabbi Meir, the kemach becomes chametz in mustard, which is very sharp and usually impedes the speed of it becoming chametz. According to Rabbi Meir, no. Putting it into mustard is the same thing as to putting it into charosas. You must burn it, says Rabbi Meir, and the law is not like Rabbi Meir. In halacha Rabbi Meir. Okay, let's go back up to the Mishnah. In mevashlim, you are not allowed to boil the chametz, the Pesach. Pesach offering has to be roasted. You cannot boil it, not in any sort of liquids, not in any sort of fruit juices, even things that don't become chametz. But you can, once it is, my wife. But once it is on, once it is over the fire, then you can smear it or even dip it in. We're going to see that the Ramban says not. What about the water which is used by the baker? Puts a little water on his hands, right, in order to make it so that they're not dirty. Pour out that water. Why? Because they become chametz. Let's go down to the explanation. Here we are. My wife won't leave me alone. Okay. It says over here, 1 minute. You are not allowed to boil in any way the Pesach offering in any sort of liquid or even fruit juices. Like it says, Al tochlu mimenu na, you're not allowed to eat it raw, ubashel mevushal b'mayim, or boiled in water. The Pesach offering must be roasted. Uba Mishnah, the Mishnah is coming to teach us, shelo rak b'mayim, not only in water, but also in any other type of liquid, like water, like wine, or oil, or fruit juices. It's forbidden to boil the Pesach offering, because that's what it says, bashal mevushal. Why does it say in the Torah, bashal mevushal? Just say one time. Don't boil it. Don't eat it boiled. Bashal. What does it have to bashal? Mevushal, twice. It says in any way, any sort of thing, sort of liquid, you can't put it in. But once it's over the fire, you are allowed to smear on it some sort of liquids. And after it's boiled, you can dip it into liquids. Sachin at the Pesach, you're allowed to anoint or smear on the Pesach with any sorts of liquids, like with oil or wine or other sorts of fruit juices, when it is being roasted over the fire. And you can dip it after it's off the fire and the time when you're eating it. And you don't worry that maybe the liquid will cancel out the taste of roasting. But the Rambam, Maimonides, he writes, not exactly. that you are not allowed to put water in it or liquid of any type on this Pesach offering while it's on the fire. You can only do it after it's off the fire. Also, the water, which is used by a baker, that the baker would stick his hands in it in order to make his hands smooth, and that the dough wouldn't stick to it. Well, this water you have to pour out in a place that, how do you say, that flows down, so that they won't become puddles of this chametz stick of water, because they become chametz because there's batzak, there's dough inside of them, and therefore from the dough of the hands it makes them into chametz. Okay, elu ovrin bepesach. These are the things which you must get rid of before Passover. Ovrim in this case means ridding yourself of. See, look, usually ovrim also can mean transgressing, but that's not what it is. And there's a big explanation here. These are the things that mitba'arim min ha'olam, that you have to get rid of from the world. Some people say the language of the Mishnah, ovrim min ha'olam, means that you have to destroy them before Passover. Okay, you're not allowed to have, okay. These are things you have to get rid of from the world. Kuta chabavli, some sort of Babylonian porridge. Shecher amadi, mead from maybe that's why they call it mead. Beer from Madai. Chometz from Edom. Zaytom or Mitzri. We'll find out what these things are. And Zomer shel tzavaim, and alamin, and some sort of starch of the tavachim, of butchers, and also kolon shel sofrim, some sort of glue which is used by scribes. Let's see what these things are. Let's just see what these things are, and we'll do the rest tomorrow. All right, these things are not really chametz that people eat. This is a type of chametz which is only forbidden from the rabbis. And that's what he says. Anything which is made of a type of what did I do? Here we go. This is the general principle. Anything which is made from any one of these 5 grains, that you will transgress on this on Pesach, or you have to get rid of it on Pesach, and they are forbidden, but it's not punishable by koret. Let's see what this means. Nice big explanation as an introduction. Should we do the introduction? Here, let's do the introduction. Ready? Anyone who eats 1 kazayat of chametz on Passover on purpose gets cut off from God. Cut off usually means that a person dies before he's 60. There's other opinions, but it's not good. Like it says, Ki kalu chal chametz nichrosan nefesh hayim Yisrael. Anyone who eats chametz will get cut off from Israel. What are we talking about? When this is chametz total, and you can see it, a piece of bread, a cookie. But what if you eat chametz that's mixed in? You drink a whiskey, beer, but something that's mixed in with something else, mixed in with other things that aren't chametz. So a person that it's a mixture in which is chametz, the punishment is not the same. It's not chorus. It's not being, what do they call it, excision. But if you do eat, let's say you drink a bottle of whiskey, drink wine, a beer. Now, if in this beer that you drink was a kazayas worth of chametz, and you ate it within achilat pras, the time it takes to eat a pras, what is a pras? The time that it takes you to eat a half of a loaf of bread. Some people say that's 3 eggs. Some people say that it's 4 eggs. Look in the Gemara Eruvin, how much you have to put an Eruv down. The Gemara. In any case, if you have, let's say, a big mashed cholent, and it's all like potatoes and beans and everything like that, but there's also, you put flour in there. You put a flour in there to keep it together. So now the whole thing is chametz, you can't eat it. He says, well, you can't eat it, right? But if you do eat it, God forbid, on Passover, then you've transgressed only from the rabbis, because it's a mixture of chametz. But if you eat, let's say there's 1 pound of cholent, and then this 1 pound of cholent is 1 kazayas of flour, and you eat this entire pound of cholent in the time with the flour inside of it, within, let's say, 7 minutes, 4 minutes. There's different opinions. What is kadei lechilit pras? What's this stuff? So let's say you eat the whole thing within 7 minutes. If so, over alalav, you have transgressed a negative commandment from the Torah. Then you've done a sin from the Torah. And nevertheless, the punishment is not so severe. You do not get koret cut off from God, just malkut, flogging. Our Mishnah is talking about all sorts of different types of chametz, that they have not got in them this required amount, the necessary amount to get beaten from the Torah. They haven't got a kazayas chametz in the time when it would take the achilas pras. In other words, no normal person would eat enough of this, whatever it is that we're going to see now, this beer, in order to consume 1 kazayas of chametz that's hidden inside of it. Cain also what's called chametz nuksha. What's chametz nuksha? Chametz nuksha is like paste, things like that, glue, that have chametz in there, and you use it, and it's forbidden, but it's not fit to eat. So our Mishnah is coming to teach us, this is according to what the Ran says in the Bartanura, that even though that you do not transgress on them from what's called Bal Yirah Bayim. What did I do over here? Even though you did not transgress from the Torah on it is forbidden to see or forbidden to find, nevertheless you are guilty, or if you are obligated from the rabbis to get rid of these things before Pesach comes in, or it'll be doing a sin. That's what it means. Ezo ma'arim means you must get rid of before Passover, and that's what it lists over here. Kuta chabavli, chometz adomi. These are all sorts of strange things that either it's a mixture or it's not edible, but it has chometz in it, and you have to get rid of it before Passover. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Tomorrow we'll have a class, 8:15 in the morning. We'll finish the beautiful sikha that we started from the Rebbe in Chela Gimel. And if I don't see you, have a good Shabbos. If I do see you, also have a good Shabbos. But I'll be able to wish you another good Shabbos tomorrow. Hope to see you at 8:15. Shalom.